Blog Talk Radio.
Don't touch me. I'll beat your brains out.
You believe in miracles? I mean, you can take a knee and try a 56-yard field goal. This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl. Let's get ready to rumble. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Gibson. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Donald Fraser. Donald Fraser.
I think that the NFL knows what Randy Moss has done with marijuana, and I think the NFL knows what Randy Moss does with marijuana.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Good morning, and thank you for joining me.
Top of the morning! Those of you already on Facebook Live, the millions listening around the world on Blog Talk Radio, live from Hollywood, California. This is Tough Love. I'm Alistair Conrath. Thanks for those of you who are already tuning in. My brother and Chad and the rest of you. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Sunday Fun Day. Okay, so I've got a half hour to get all of this stuff put together. Obviously, I want to get to Canelo Alvarez, who tested positive twice, for a steroid banned substance in his upcoming fight with Triple G is possibly not going to go on Cinco de Mayo. I have a tough love take that you guys might not appreciate when it comes to the protests and the guns. But this show is called Tough Love, and at this time, in my opinion, everybody needs some. But first, obviously, it's March Madness, and I'm obviously there's a sports show, and what's happening is really cool. Loyola of Chicago, the 11 seed, the first 11 seed, I want to say since 2011, or whenever it was, whenever George Mason was there last. That is the last time somebody was there. As an 11 seed, they beat Kansas State to get there. And so that's really cool. Obviously, Michigan punched their ticket to the Final Four yesterday by beating Florida State. Michigan looks really, really good. By the way, I have Michigan and Duke in the final. The rest of my bracket, shit show. I'm assuming the rest of everybody's bracket, because of what's happened with Arizona losing, Kentucky, and Michigan State, and so on and so forth. Everybody's bracket's probably busted 10 times over. But I do have Michigan and Duke in the finals, so I'm still alive in that sense. And then obviously the two games today, the biggie, Duke, Kansas, two of the true blue bloods in college basketball. Massive, massive game. And then the other one is Texas Tech and Villanova. Villanova and West Virginia on Friday. I really, truly believed that was about as close to the national championship as you could get, especially with how West Virginia was playing. And Villanova. How crazy was that game, by the way? That it was so tight, and then next thing you know, it could not have gone more sideways for West Virginia. They couldn't stop Villanova. Brunson and them and Villanova took over. Couldn't miss, hitting threes. West Virginia couldn't buy a basket. And next thing you know, it's a blowout. Obviously, again, Loyola Chicago. What a story. Hey, let me just say this real quick. And it bothers me when people say, well, they didn't play anybody. I saw a graphic that said, out of all Final Four teams, the Loyola Chicago has played the winning percentage of the teams that Loyola Chicago has played has been the lowest. You know what? I mean, you can only play who is in front of you. Bottom line, that's it. when you compare that to, say, like regular season college football, and you have 3 cream puffs at the beginning of the season and someone else schedules Ohio State and Texas, yeah, then you can make the argument, oh, well, Wisconsin didn't play anybody, blah, blah, blah. You can only play who is in front of you come March Madness. And Loyola is taking care of business. It is not Loyola Chicago's fault that Kentucky lost to Kansas State. You know what I'm saying? That bitch upstairs is vacuuming again. I'm going to go up there after the show and just be like, why is it that 9:05 every Sunday you have to do this? I might end up in jail. But either way, so that's the thing that just bothers me is like, you know what? Let this just happen and be. You know what? They're going to go up against a really, really strong and deep Michigan team. And who knows what's going to happen? I mean, everybody up to this point has counted Loyola out. But every other team that has gotten this far shouldn't have, George Mason and, all the others who followed before lost in the Final Four. So, with that said, who knows what happens? But again, it isn't Loyola's fault that Kentucky lost. They only can play who they can play. The game last night, I got to talk about this because, as a sports fan who's watched sports, 40 plus years and grew up on it and has seen miracle comebacks and just crazy, crazy things that happen in sport because it's live. Stuff happens. You never know. Like last night, watching the Florida State-Michigan game, Michigan is up by 4, right? And the next thing you know, there's 11 seconds, Florida State inbounds it, or 10 seconds, Michigan inbounds it, and Florida State doesn't foul them. They're only down by 4. It's not 14. They're down by 4, and they just let the remaining 10 seconds go out. And Leonard Hamilton, I think that's the dude's name, the coach for Florida State, when asked about it, got defensive and said, what do you think, 11 seconds? We didn't win in the first. You think 11 seconds, something about that doesn't change anything. The 11 seconds, basically he said 11 seconds didn't change the outcome of the game. The problem with that is you never know what could happen. You foul, they miss a couple free throws. Then you get it, you sink a 3, you're in 1, you foul again. That's just what you do. That's just what you do. Like, what was he doing? I don't understand what he was thinking. Clutch moments happen in situations like that. That is why it's clutch. Does the basket at 19 minutes of the first half count just the same as a basket with 5 seconds left in the game? Yes, it's both worth 2 or 3 points, however, whatever basket it's done. The reason why clutch is even a word and used in sports is because of these moments. All of us, who knows what can happen? We have seen just unbelievable things happen with 10 seconds left in a game. We've seen 7 points scored in 7 seconds. I mean, it was shocking. I'm like, why isn't he fouling? What is going on? It was really, really odd to me. And the fact that he gets defensive about it and doesn't understand the gravity of why you wouldn't foul. I mean, if I was I would think hard about not firing him in a situation like that. Like, what are you thinking? I just don't even understand what somebody's thinking. A head basketball coach who's been around forever, a good basketball coach, just says, oh, it's over. It's over. We lost. 10 seconds. Why even try? Why even try? We lost. Just unbelievable. Oh, wow. So, anyway, I'm excited for the games today. Texas Tech, Villanova. I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen a lot of Texas Tech. I hadn't seen a lot of Villanova before, Friday night's game against West Virginia. Villanova's very good. But Texas Tech, honestly, surprised me. I mean, shoot, I had no idea that they were that long, that athletic. They're a really good basketball team. I just don't see, Villanova, holy cow, they're really, really good. Really good. And I don't see them beating Texas Tech. As far as Kansas and Duke, wow, talk about talent everywhere on the court. I just said, I feel like Duke is going to win. And again, I could be 100% wrong, but the only reason I feel that is I just look at down low. You know, obviously they got good guard play. Gary Trent, a Minnesota product. You know, they got Grayson Allen, who had such a cold shooting night on Friday. You got to think he's going to come back. I think he went 1 of 12 or something like that from threes. You think he's going to do better this game. But down low, they've got Marvin Bagley and this Carter kid. And I'm telling you right now, both of those two look. I mean, Bagley for sure. I don't know about the Carter kid, but he seems to be top 10 lottery potential. And so that is where, if it goes Duke Villanova, I just feel like Duke has the edge down low. I don't necessarily think anybody can compete with Duke down low with those two guys. I mean, they are legit. And then you got, like I say, you got Trent outside, you got Allen outside. I mean, obviously they got their rosters littered with All-Americans. But you know what? So is Kansas. And Kansas is really, really good. It's going to be fun. Like I say, Bill Self against Krzyzewski. It's going to be a really good game. The first game I want to say is Tech and Villanova. 11:20 start time out here in the PST. And I think the Duke Kansas starts around like 2:30, 5:30 on the East Coast, and so forth. So that's going to be cool. Keeping with the college basketball theme for a second, I saw a headline on ESPN, and it said that USC hires Eric Mobley, father of 2 high-profile recruits, as their assistant coach. Does anybody else see a problem with that? I read into the article way back when. I mean, this happened as early as last year. Lorenzo Momar, or what's his name? Romar, was a coach at University of Washington. Gets a job. Oh, by the way, had a high-profile recruit, Porter Jr., who I think is the number 1 recruit in the country, ended up going and signing a letter of intent to go to Washington because his dad was hired on the Washington staff by Lorenzo Romar. Romar gets fired from Washington, gets a job at Missouri, and what happens? Hires his dad and his 2 kids, Michael Porter Jr., the real good one, number 1, goes to Missouri, along with the kid. But I looked in the article way back even in 83, and I'm quoting ESPN right now. Then Kansas coach Larry Brown hired Ed Manning as an assistant. Manning had no coaching experience, but his son Danny, as you can remember, Danny Manning, was one of the hottest recruits in the country. Ed Manning had played for Brown in the ABA and was driving a truck when Brown hired him. Danny Manning signed with Kansas and went on to lead the Jayhawks to the national title in 1988. Then you had what happened last year with Lorenzo Romar and going to Missouri and bringing the recruits there. Keep in mind, USC they were one of the schools, one of the many schools who got caught in recruiting violations. Now, mind you, this is not illegal activity in college basketball, but I'm telling you right now, it looks bad on the surface. Does it not? You're talking about a guy who's an AAU coach, has 2 kids who just happen to be 6'10" and ballers and highly touted prospects coming out of high school. And USC, don't get me wrong, I like it. It should be illegal, but it's not. They hired the kid's dad, who's an AAU coach, and I wonder why they hired his dad. People wonder why college sports are not taken serious when it comes to a student-athlete situation. This is why. It is so transparent on the surface that any idiot can see what's going on here. And it's not against NCAA bylaws, but it should be. And this is embarrassing for anybody associated in sports in general, who likes college sports, who tries to take it seriously because it's laughable. It's embarrassing for the sport. It's as embarrassing as Canelo and Triple G being called a draw last September. I mean, this type of stuff is unbelievable. I saw that and I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, let's just get away from college athletics when it comes to basketball and football. Just do what baseball does. Put a minor league system in place. Hockey does the same thing. If you don't want to go to college because these one and dones are ridiculous and just a waste of time, just forget about it. Go to a D League, make the D League just a minor league system, which I guess you could argue it is, but don't make them go to school. Don't make them sit out a year. They don't have to go to school. You can just, you have to be 1 year removed from high school to go to the pros, which is just the dumbest goddamn thing I've ever heard. Absolutely ridiculous to even think that was a good idea. Just let them go to the pros. Guess what life is about? Life is about failing at times. And guess what? If you go to the pros and you're not good enough to be drafted or go to the pros, well, guess what? Go back to school. Unfortunately, you're going to have to do like the rest of us in life and work, and not play a game for the rest of your life. Or you know what? If you're good and that good, but not good enough, go play in Europe or something. I mean, it's just these rules that are put in place by the NCAA are a slap in the face to people who have just a little sliver of intelligence whatsoever. I saw this and I'm just like, whatever. Speaking of Canelo, I just wanted to touch on this. I was in Vegas last September, and I went and saw a buddy of mine, Buckstein, if you're listening, what up, who was in Vegas, and we ended up going to a viewing party for that. And so, we saw the fight. Obviously, when the decision was read, the scores were read. Even the Mexican fans in the place looked at each other like, what? Because it was such a joke. 118-110 decision by that lady who looks like a librarian, who doesn't even look like should be judging anything, but who's obviously on the take because she has a history of doing this previously to the first fight between Canelo and Triple G. I will say this. They insulted my intelligence back in September when they called that fight a draw. Their next fight is scheduled on the Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. Mexican Independence Day. It's always a huge fight for the Mexican fighters, or a huge day to put Mexican fighters on. And that is, what's sad about it is the night of the fight, the first fight between Canelo and Triple G. The guy from the Westgate Sportsbook, because Tony Atlas was losing his collective shit, and he was talking to the guy on ESPN from the Westgate Sportsbook, and the guy said, well, looks like we'll see you on Cinco de Mayo, meaning Triple G and Canelo 2 would happen on Cinco de Mayo, as if he knew it was going on. And privy to that, Tony Atlas was, talking about how corrupt and how the judges go out to eat the night before with the promoters and so on and so forth. So, Canelo just gets tagged twice for a positive test for a banned substance. It's a Mexican fighter. Everybody knows in Mexico right now that I can't remember the name of it, but it's found in the tainted meat. And so a lot of fighters are being, it's coming up in trace amounts. So it's an easy way out, in my opinion, for Canelo to use PEDs and say, oh, no, it's I didn't do that. It's got to be the meat. And it's it's a slippery slope, if you want to call it that. I just look at it as a easy way to get out of it, try and lie. I love, I'm not a huge believer in karma, but I will say this: when you completely disregard the common sense of your most loyal fans for a money grab at a second fight, this is what you get. Fuck you, Oscar De La Hoya. This is what you get. They're going to bring this up in court April 10th, I want to say, to decide if the fight on May 5th will go forward or not, or if Canelo actually gets suspended. I hope it gets suspended. I hope there's never a second fight. Unfortunately, there will be. And unfortunately, people are dumb enough to actually pay for it and watch it. I promise you I will not watch it. I will not watch that. So, anyway, what else? Obviously, I wanted to save it until the last. I just want to see if I'm skipping anything real quick. Oh, two things. Before I get to the whole protest and the gun debate, because I feel like there's some tough love that's needed to be handed out right now. First and foremost, James Harden equals Aaron Rodgers. Just trust me on this stuff. I'm really, really good at these comparisons. Personality-wise, talent-wise, just trust me. James Harden, I just noticed this last night. Obviously different sports, but just the way they carry themselves, talk, it's amazing. James Harden equals Aaron Rodgers. Trust me on this. Number two, real quick, it flew under the radar. NFL free agency, Cordero Patterson, former Viking and Raider, gets traded to the Patriots. All right? Everybody thinks, no big deal, whatever. Everybody thought no big deal when Wes Welker got traded to the Patriots too. For a second-round pick, in fact. Everybody was like, holy shit, why are the Patriots giving a second-round pick for Wes Welker? Who the hell is Wes Welker? Well, obviously, history is what it is, and Wes Welker ended up doing pretty well. Julian Edelman, doing pretty well, aside from the injury. I'm not saying Cordero Patterson is going to go and be the next Wes Welker or Julian Edelman. I will say, if the Patriots do what they do, and use I have a buddy at work, Anthony, who gets so goddamn mad. And he's like, how do all these players go to New England and all of a sudden have the best, years of their career? It's because the Patriots are better than anybody else at seeing what talent people have and utilizing and crafting the offense around the person to utilize their talent best. Nobody else is as good as doing it as the Patriots and Bill Belichick. And Cordero Patterson, I've said it from day one. When he was with Minnesota, everybody was talking about, he's dumb, he can't run routes, I don't care. He's a bigger, stronger, faster version of Percy Harvin. You just get him the football. That's all you do. Just somehow you get him the football. I don't care how you do it. He doesn't have to run a route tree for me. You just get him the football. He has proven time and time and time again that all you have to do is get this guy the football and he makes stuff happen. He's also become a very good special teams guy, and you pair him with Matthew Slater in New England and you've got two really good special teams guys. But all I'm saying is this flew under the radar. The Vikings failed in using Cordero properly. The Raiders failed in using Cordero properly. The Patriots won't. Cordero is a bigger, stronger, faster Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. He is an absolute beast, and he will show out. As long as the Patriots utilize him right and getting him the football, which I think they will, then the Patriots just got themselves a gem. Okay, I've got about 7 minutes left. It's not enough time. I'll probably overlap in Facebook Live. So those of you on blogtalkradio.com, if you want to hear me continue on this whole gun thing, who knows? Maybe it won't even take that long. You'll have to, sign over to Facebook Live. But let me just say this, all right? I want us to quit blaming guns. Okay, what happened in Parkland at the high school shooting? What happened at Sandy Hook? Why this all hoopla didn't happen after a bunch of little kids got wasted and it all of a sudden is happening when high school kids? I don't know. But yes, it's unfortunate. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. It's unfortunate. Okay, but we need, as a society, to stop blaming guns. Obviously, yeah, guns kill people, if that's generally the go-to weapon, an AR-15. But let me just throw this at you. Drugs are illegal, right? Guess where I can get any drug right now within a half hour. I promise you that. I could get any drug within a half hour. So all you people out there sitting there, get rid of the AR-15. Do you know why criminals are criminals? because they break the law. Do you not think, how naive are we to think that if you sit there and, we're just going to ban AR-15s, you think they're going to be all of a sudden non-accessible? You think a criminal, somebody who is a criminal, breaks the law, you don't think they're just going to find an AR-15? You think, what do you think they're going to do? Like, who killed the electric car? You think they're going to go round up all the AR-15s and just burn them? Melt them down? Guess what? Criminals don't register their AR-15s. So you're going to take them away from the people who aren't doing anything wrong. Just think about this for a second, okay? It isn't the gun's fault. The AR-15's been around since the mid-50s, okay? Why? The question we all need to ask right now, everybody who went out and protested on Friday needs to look at themselves in the mirror. Why is this stuff happening more now than it used to? Guns have always been around. This uptick in school shootings and all this other crazy, stuff that's going on, this isn't the gun's fault. Look in the mirror. We are the problem, not the guns. What do we need to do to stop this? It's not getting rid of guns. Don't be stupid. Don't listen to a bunch of high school kids who have, nothing to do but complain about what happened. I just said a little bit ago, it's unfortunate. It's so sad what happened. But think about all the protesters in the 60s, right? They're still not protesting now. Why is that? Because as you get older, you got to get a job. You have to just be part of the machine. You don't have time as a high school senior when you're 35 and you have a career and you might have a family to go out and sit there and protest all the time. As a society, we are so stupid. It's just shocking to me that we can sit there and be so, what's the word I'm looking for? Just, oh dang it, I lost the word. Unrealistic. That's where I'm going with this. You can't be unrealistic. Getting rid of AR-15 isn't going to solve the issue that is the society, the societal fabric that is going on right now. That's the problem. It's not the gun. It's the people shooting the gun. The guy in Vegas. These kids. Why is it happening? That's the problem. In my opinion, I know why this is all going on. I truly believe it's so many things. It's so many things. Parenting, number one. Think about this real quick. Back in the 50s, 60s, generally you could get by on a one-parent income. So the guy went out and worked, the lady stayed home, took care of the kids. There was a parental influence at home, a parental guidance at home, possible disciplinarian at home.
90 seconds.
What's happened now? 90 seconds left on Blog Talk. What's happened now is that both parents generally have to work. You're sending kids to strangers to be taken care of during the day and not having that familial influence. There's no family dinners anymore. There's just nothing like that anymore. And then on top of that, you throw on social media. You throw on The Bachelorette, Kardashians, wife swap, 16 and pregnant. We as a society have an insatiable appetite for reality TV, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. None of this is more than a popularity contest. It's high school extended. It's elementary school extended. Yet everybody thinks it matters. They all get addicted to things like Pokemon and Candy Crush. How many invites do I get on Facebook from adults telling me to play games? Now think about how it is for kids. You give a phone and this type of stuff to an 8-year-old. All of this stimuli, likes, no likes, is he or she getting back to me immediately? 10 seconds left on Blog Talk. Tough Love is out on Blog Talk. Switch on over to Facebook Live if you want to see the rest of this. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Tough Love is out on Blog Talk. And I have to do this. I'm sorry. You all know this. Chime.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Goodbye. An 8-year-old. Kids. When I grew up, there was still a cord on the phone, and if you couldn't reach somebody, you couldn't reach them. That's it. You know, like, if the phone was busy, you know, whatever, you waited a little bit. You know, but if they weren't home, then they just weren't home. All of this immediate response, this insatiable appetite to just have, why aren't they getting back to me right now? Why aren't they getting back to me immediately? All of this is a problem. There is a video by a Facebook, one of the first guys who put together the algorithms for Facebook. They met up with a bunch of psychologists, figured out what is the fastest way for a dopamine release. How do we get people addicted to something? And it is fast, how do I say this? Just constant release, but not just a continuous, but intermittent releases of dopamine. Hence, likes, smiley faces, all this type of stuff. That is what they came up with. The guy in this video who came up with this stuff feels so horrible about it because he has seen what it does, is that his kids aren't allowed on social media. He hasn't been on social media since, I think, 2009 or something like that. And so parents are they're getting sucked in to letting their kids be a part of this machine that is so detrimental. This is why we're having all the things that are going on right now. Because kids are growing up so depressed. There's never been in the history of us more cases of depression amongst kids. There's never been so many kids on prescription medication for depression. It's just shocking that we sit there and we want to like blame guns for this when we can't even look in the mirror and blame ourselves for being bad parents, being sucked into social media, letting our kids at 8 years old or 5 years old carry phones to school. Like, could you imagine being a teacher right now? It's insane. But this is why it's all going on. All of this is just so sad, and kids who don't have the mental makeup yet and the maturity level, nor do a lot of adults, quite honestly, to decipher, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. They're not getting back to me immediately. This person doesn't like this. Can you believe what happened on the Bachelorette or Bachelor or Kardashians? All of this stuff that makes zero difference in their lives. All the materialistic stuff. They don't have it. I do. The bullying. All of this stuff. Like, this is all social media. And because everybody is so addicted to it like crack, nobody wants to accept it. This is all because of what's going on. I mean, it's unreal. By the way, protests don't work. Not anymore, they don't. They did in the 60s. Because shit was civil rights, women's movement, all that stuff was really just starting to take off. It needed a voice. All this shit now, protests don't work because things are pretty good right now. Pretty good. Everybody wants to just talk about how bad shit is. Is it really? Is it really that bad? Or do people just want to find anything possible to bitch about? I don't have it. I can't get my way. I don't have these. Everybody has rights. All right? If you block a highway like Black Lives Matter did back in Minneapolis, people are going to be like feeling sorry for you. They're going to be mad. Get out of the way. We're trying to get to work. You know, this stuff right now for gun violence, it's not the gun's fault. It's our fault. Criminals will always get guns. You're going to take them away from the good people and just let the criminals get them? Like I said earlier, drugs are illegal, right? I guarantee you, if I wanted to go find meth, I could get it in less than a half hour. And that's the same thing with criminals and guns. Don't be so goddamn stupid. All these hashtag movements, is it really like a big deal? Or is it just something that you're crying about? Granted, sexual assault is bad, harassment's bad, you know, school shootings are bad, no doubt. But I'm sitting here looking on businessinsider.com, gun statistics, because I know how people hate stats and facts, but getting shot in a mass shooting is 1 in 11,125. Guess what dying 1 in 6 is? Heart disease. Guess what you can control? You eat better, exercise. You know, you can die of falling, 1 in 122. Murder is 1 in 229. A mass shooting, 1 in 11,125. Is it shitty when it happens? Absolutely. But let's just not, that's like the 1%ers. That's not even the 1% of death. You know, like you can die by choking on your food more likely than dying of a mass shooting. It's unlucky, unfortunate as it is, but getting rid of guns isn't going to solve it. Sorry. It's not. To think that is the dumbest, most naive way of looking at it. I can't even, it bothers me how dumb our society is to think that is going to solve anything. Meanwhile, you're going to just let your 4-year-old have a phone and get wildly depressed, you know, because of that stupid phone in their hand. Like, it's unreal to me. It's real shocking. But there's more to this. Oh, there's just more to this, and I just don't know if I can go on anymore. So anyway, go back. I mean, listen to what I had to say if you want. Comment. I don't know why. I don't know if people have been commenting. I can't see them. Whatever. So anyway, Facebook Live, I love you guys, but, you know, this show is called Tough Love, and in this instance right now, our society needs it. They need to be able to look in the mirror, and I know this doesn't have a widespread reach, but you know, if you feel the same way, pass this on. Just, you gotta be realistic. Quit being unrealistic. This fallacy of why can't everybody get along just because we never have. Like, why can't anybody just accept that people aren't just gonna always get along? And it's not just a race thing. It's money versus the people that have versus have-nots. Like, as long as people are just, like, addicted to materialistic things, we'll never get along. Because that's the haves and the have-nots. And they look at each other differently. Just that. That alone, that's it. Just one of the things. But everybody should get along. Shut up. I'm not a Debbie Downer. I'm a realist. Those of you who know me, those of you who have seen this show, know that I'm a realist. I'm not, you know, like a doomsayer. But at the same time, it's just, wake up. Wake up. That's it. I gotta get out of here. Love you guys so much. I really do. I will see you next Sunday. Hopefully everybody has a great Sunday fun day. Go Duke. I don't like Duke, but go Duke because I picked them. It should be a good day of basketball and whatever else. Love you guys. Tough Love is out. Drive fast. Take chances. See you.